We are talking about what to do after 485 visa. So many students who have lost 485 visa with us.
Yep.
Then now we are talking about what can they do in order to maximize their opportunity to apply for PR ultimately.
Yes.
So here we have a team here, registered migration agent.
Hello.
So yes, so suggest students what to do.
So we thought this was a good topic for today, being the 15th of March, most student visas are expiring today, and a lot of the people we've been working with over the last week have been going on to 485s. Now 485 can last anywhere between 18 months, 2 years or 4 years, depending on the level you studied at or the pathway you studied. So now that, we've got some technical difficulties, sorry, Harry's in the background looking at videos and he shouldn't, but so people ask us, well, what do I do in that time? Because me and Sid, our biggest frustration is people wasting their time on these visas. The most important thing you can do in your 18 months, 2 years or 4 years, doesn't matter how long you have, is get a job in your occupation. Stop working at cafes and bars and restaurants as cooks and unskilled labour. You need to get a job in the profession that you studied. Reason being is that when you go down for your PR later in the pipeline, the pathway, they're going to look at, well, did this person actually study work as what they studied? And that goes back to your GTE statement. I'm passionate about IT, so I want to work in IT when I finish my studies. If you're just working at a cafe, that doesn't show that you were passionate about IT studies. So IT links in well, because the second thing you can do while you're on your 485 is if you've done IT, engineering or accounting, you can get a professional year. So if they become available to you, definitely get involved with them, because it's another opportunity to score points should you go for the EOI process at the end of your 485. The other thing you can do is consider an internship, whether that be internship in accounting, banking, whatever is available to your occupation. Start talking to big companies and even small ones and just say, can I do an internship with you guys for 3 months? If you get paid, sweet. If you don't, it doesn't matter. It exposes you to the industry and the workplace and things that you need to be preparing yourself for moving forward.
So we can help internship as well to find internships. So
yes.
We have in contact with internship providers as well, so we work with them, so you can contact us. And of course, for applying job, if you have issue with the CV cover letter, and because applying job is itself a job, I would say.
Yeah.
Because it takes really long time, and so you need to understand the Australian job market context. So what employers look for in their job description. So all those things we can definitely help on that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, Interlay Studies, we want to be a one-stop shop. So if you're having trouble getting an internship, as Sid says, or if you need help with your CV being updated or things you should be focusing on, by all means get in touch with us. You're just going to see the logo up there is meant to represent every step of your pathway to citizenship. So don't think that just because we talk migrations on Monday is the only thing that we do. We want to help as many people as we can get in jobs. So if you need help with updating your CV, getting in touch with internship places, that sort of thing, by all means get in touch with us, because it's meant to be all encompassing. Now, 2 other things you can do relate to language skills. So firstly is practice your English. Now, English is important because it's the standard language used in our workplaces around the country. Now, doing internships and working in the profession will definitely help you improve your language scores. But the other thing you can do with language is, if you're not that confident with English yet, or you're still developing your language skills, is do a NATI course to be able to be a translator or interpreter in your own language. That will get you another 5 points at the end of the EOI process, which could go a long way to either separating you from an accountant with 90 points that doesn't get an invite, or accountant with 95 that does get an invite. 5 points can make the world of difference in your profiles at the end of the game. Other things you can do if work isn't working out for you, remember, with a 485 there is no restrictions or conditions on what you can or can't do with that visa. So a student visa, it has conditions that you must remain enrolled, you cannot work more than 20 hours a week, all these sort of things, because you're here to work, to study in that field. Other visas like a 482 will have a condition that doesn't allow you to work for another employer because you're here for that employer. So the 485 is a great visa because there is no conditions that directs you what you must do. You can waste your 18, 2 months or 4 years if you really want just working in low-skilled jobs that pay well, or you could do more studies. So one, wouldn't say loophole that we found, but one pathway that we've been exploring is, I'm just going to read the notes here to make sure I get it right.
Yeah.
If you do a course in telecommunication technician, that's the right occupation,
Yep.
then that's only 1 year, but that can get you a positive skill set with
Yeah.
Engineers Australia.
Yeah.
And that occupation is on the medium-term skills list.
Yeah.
So that already opens up your PR options a lot better than if you'd not done that course. Now that doesn't fit for everybody, but it's definitely something to be considering. And that's another thing that Sid here, as part of the education side of Interlace, can assist with. So if you're interested in that, by all means get in touch with him. I do all the migration stuff, so I'm not that good on the CVs and so forth, but Sid here has had 100 jobs since he became a citizen, so we're more than happy to help you with that. And the last thing that you can do, and we only encourage this with professional advice from one of us two or another registered agent, is you could relocate. So just say you're in Brisbane, you might relocate to Toowoomba, Mount Isa, South Australia, to get more points for regional and be lining yourself up for 491, 494, 187 type sponsorship arrangements that give you more points for being in regional areas. Other things that are interesting is some 485 visas have extension options if you've been living in a regional area for a certain period of time. They can't say that fits for everybody, but relocating is definitely something you should also think about doing because it can set you up moving forward. So, it's important because PR comes in 3 ways, comes from the EOI, you actually have a job, or state-based nominations. And, most of that's going to come from people already with jobs. And the most jobs at PR level require 3 years work experience at level, which is why it's important to get a job in your occupation as soon as you can. So, Sid, any questions or anything you want to expand on with that? I mean, they're just the 6 things we could think of when we're discussing today what video to do. There's probably some others, but they're the core 6 things that you should be thinking about to improve your chances for PR.
So one point I want to emphasize is that, in Australia, so I look at Australian government level, policy level discussion as well, and I can see there, Australia wants, skilled people from overseas, but they are very clear, they need high skill. So most of those people that Australia needs is going to be this highly skilled people. So our suggestion to students
highly
is
skilled with experience.
Yes.
So 10 years, just 10 years ago, 11 years ago, you could just lodge a PR without any experience and a qualification, and you would just go in a queue and eventually get a decision. That program is closed down now, and it's all about high skills and experience, which is why they've introduced the EOI process or employer nominated scheme.
And also, if we look at, for example, how many high skilled people got permanent residencies in last years, if we look at, then most of the more than 50%, or around 50% have bachelor's degree or higher.
Yeah.
So obviously, they are looking for these high skilled people, and that's obvious as well.
Yeah.
Because economy, Australian economy, is based on service based, like highly technical economy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that they don't need low skilled migrants, but most of the migrants they need with bachelor's degree and mostly with experience as well.
Yeah.
So that way we really would like to help those people, those students who would like to apply for job. So how to become proficient in the skills they need for that particular industry, because every industry has their own requirements.
Yeah.
and then you need to be aware of what are the skills that I need to develop. Yeah, if I have studied marketing specialist, or I have done MBA, or I have done accountant.
Yeah.
So then we can definitely help you. How can you narrow down your job search? How can you improve your job search? We have done that, so we are very happy to help you, and ultimately you will have all those options, because
Exactly.
team is here to guide you through the permanent residence.
The other thing is, and I say this to a lot of people I work with outside of Interlace, is don't get discouraged if things take ages.
Yeah.
Just touching back on what Sid said, the Australian Migration Program is designed on high-skilled, professional, service-level occupations. So when you, just say you lodge an employer 186 visa, which means you already have a job, 3 years work experience, and a skill set on the occupations list, some of those visas are going to be picked up first because they are more critical and essential to the government's bigger program. Example is, and this is not disrespecting the trades at all, but just an example of that this stuff actually does happen. I lodged a painter in November last year. He's now been waiting 6 months without a nomination or visa decision, which is fine. But last month, I lodged a nomination visa for a radiographer, and they got a request within 48 hours.
Yeah.
Because we need radiographers at the moment to be able to, scan people for broken ribs, broken legs, and even coronavirus. And so, there are some things that will be more beneficial than others to the country, but that doesn't mean you're not going to get a look in. As long as your occupation's on the medium-term list and you have a job, then your chance of getting a visa's high. We can't say you're definitely going to get one, but the chances are significant.